Hey guys, Tarek with Cyclone FPV. It is about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm still getting some work done here. Thought I would just, I don't know, figure out what we're going to do with this. We've got some repairs here, and I've got an RMA, and you know me with these RMAs now. I said I'm going to start doing more of them live, and I figured this would be a great time to go ahead and cover some of this up, okay? So let's look at what we got here. I've got two boards here that were sent in. Let me see if I can straighten this out. There you go. Okay, so these are HGLRC boards, and there's something about them that's not, the guy said he's got a little bit of a problem with them. And what I want to do is I want to show you guys again. And it seems to be that we're getting more of these. And I'm going to tell you flat out that, okay, look, we've got to get, people have got to get on the same page about soldering, right? And how to solder and what we're going to use for soldering. So I want to go ahead and cover it again because I feel like it's not really happening the way it should. First of all, we need to get you some, sorry, hold on, let me make sure that this screensaver here does not kick on for me because I need to stop it on my computer, so bear with me 1 second, I apologize. Let's see, where the hell is this thing? And let's see, how does this work? No. Sorry, 1 sec. Sometimes this crap just drives me nuts. All right, so let's see. I want to take my, where the hell is it? Clipboard, no. Let's see about this one. Nope. Let me do screensaver. Screen. Saver. Is that it? Turn off screensaver, please. So we want to do none. There we go. Okay, finally got it back. Sorry guys, we've got two things going on. Okay, so anyways, so this is a pretty bad soldering job, and I want to point it out because it's hard to try to issue an RMA or to try to say that this is something that needs to be covered under warranty when we've got some pretty fried stuff here. Look, you can see right here. I mean, this stuff has been pretty much blown apart. I mean, we've got grounding issues here where it's shorted out, and we've got it here. I mean, you can see all the black area here. This is not a faulty board by any means. This is literally somebody just almost compressing. Like if I had to say what happened here, I would probably say that this board was mounted upside down, like this. My guess is it's mounted upside down, and then another board is placed on top, and my guess is that those two touched. Somewhere along here these touched, and given if you look at this solder here, look at this. I mean, this is way too much solder. This isn't going to work properly at all. Okay, so we've got to clear that up. Now that's not going to help you guys. So let me show you what we're going to do here. See if we can make this a little bit better. Bear with me 1 second. And let's see if I can get this up and running here. So I'm going to resolder these boards. Probably not going to be able to do much with it, but we'll see if we can do something. So let me open this. Let's see, that should get it. All right, so I've got my soldering done here, and I think I'm going to start with this one first. Okay, so let's just look at this first. The one thing that I do want to point out to you here, and I'm going to put this under the microscope in just a second, but look at the spots here. I mean, there's no protection on these wires at all. I don't know if they overheated or how they got stripped, but it's visible here that they are exposed, right? So now let me put this under the microscope and show you on the computer what we're talking about. Just get this from being tangled. Bear with me a second. And I'm going to keep doing these because I promised the customers that I would show them, right? And so that's what we're going to do. Sorry, I know this is kind of, let me put the computer here. There we go. Here, let's do this, and then we'll open up the, there we go. We'll open up the camera now and show you guys what we're looking at. Okay, so let's just try to find what problems we have on this board, because there's going to be quite a bit of them. All right, and considering it's 4 in the morning, bear with me if I get a little sloppy here in my movements. It's a 24-hour day for me, so there'll be no sleep until tomorrow. So let's just try to make it through this. Okay, so look, we're gonna start. We're gonna start right here. Okay, this is the capacitor. These are the capacitor wires here, and these are exposed right off the bat. These are exposed. So if this thing is to touch carbon fiber at all, this is toast, right? And so what it looks like to me is that these were overheated and got cut back. And so right off the bat, these have to be removed. You cannot have this looking like this. You cannot install an ESC like this at all, okay? And what you're going to end up with is this. So look at how badly this is burned. This is all burn marks. And I mean, just look at this. So we've got this burned. I'm going to try to scrape some of it off. But this is not a failure on the side of the ESC at all. This is, if you look over here, you've got it some more as well, okay? So this tells me that something touched, and I'm going to go ahead, I mean, I'll go out on a limb. I've seen this before, so I'm pretty sure that it's safe to say something touched. What that is, whether it was a flight controller or a piece of carbon or whatever it may be, I do know that something touched and shorted this out. So this one's not going to be, I mean, this is not a, this can't be an RMA for warranty. This is at no fault of the manufacturer at all. The other thing that I can tell you is that the solder being used here is not, this is a lead-free solder. It's not doing very well as far as sticking to the board or to, to make a clean solder at all. I mean, this is really bad, and I'd have to heat it up pretty high to get it off. I was hoping to try to clean it up, but the board's not salvageable at this point. We will go to the other board, but I do want to just show you. I mean, like, just looking at this board here, no, this won't be under warranty, guys. And you just need to do a better job of making sure that you don't short these things out. Okay, that's the best way I can tell you. So let me go through here and just look around. All right, so I want you to look here, though. I mean, look at these. You cannot have your solder points like, I mean, you cannot have your, here, let me give you a better look. Look at what you've got here, okay? You've got solder kind of bouncing all over the place here, and there's way too much of it. I mean, this is, first of all, let me just see if I can clean some. This is way too much solder to have on these pads. These pads don't take much at all, especially if you're tinning your wire. Then you don't need half of that on there, okay? And remember, what you want to do is you want to tin, and then you want to tin the board and then tin your wire so that when you bring them together, you have enough solder combined. But don't pile it on here. I mean, if I tilt this up, you can see. Let's see. Look at that. That is just a ton of solder. All right, guys. So you've got to get rid of this solder. You need to use leaded 6337 0.08 or sorry 0.8 millimeter 6337 2%, 1.8 to 2% would be a great solder. It's what I use here, and it works perfectly. So this board is out. Period. There's nothing I can do. Now let's go to this one. This one's a little different. I want you to watch what's been done on this board. Okay, so look at this thing. I mean, we've got solder literally running down here. This did not come on this board like this. Here, look, we've got it here. I don't even know what this is. But check out around it, okay? You've got solder that landed here. You've got solder that landed here. And if we keep going around, I mean, you're going to start seeing this. Let me close this. Let's see what else I use. Look, we've got pieces. Let me see if I can try to point these out. We got pieces pretty much flying all over the place. And so my biggest concern here, I'm just looking around. So, I mean, some of these are part of the board, but looking around here, I'm not even sure what happened right here or what this is that I'm looking at. I'm going to get the tweezers and see if I can scrape some of that off. Let's see if I can get this here. Okay, so we're over here right now, I believe. What is this? Okay, so this is another piece of solder that's just kind of laying there. Let's get this one off. Oh boy. All right, keep going around here. Got another little piece, it looks like right here. mean, this I don't understand at all. There's no reason this should be over here. Okay. Okay, now let's turn it over. This is where it gets really concerning. Look at the solder on this, and I'm going to tilt it up. I mean, this is just not happening, okay? And here's the deal. This piece right here, which, I mean, it's a really big piece of solder. I'm not even sure. Golly. I mean, oh, here, I'll do a measurement for you. So that piece of solder from the board stands about, let's see, from the board, probably about 8 millimeters tall. Well, no, hold on. From the board, which is about right here, so it's about 7 millimeters tall. 7 millimeters from the top of the board here, 7 millimeters up is this piece of solder. You can't do that for multiple reasons. I mean, this is going to touch something that it shouldn't. The other thing is, if you look at your soldering of the wires here, look, let me focus on this. Okay, your wire's not even touching the board. See this wire right here? So it's got a layer of solder between it and the pad. This wire should be touching the pad. Yeah, Tyler, I'm kind of trying to figure it out. I mean, like, you know, I'd say low heat, but this solder isn't melting. Look, I've got 330 on mine right now, okay? I've got 330 on mine. I'm going to bring it in here and try to touch this solder. Watch this. So, I mean, I've got nothing. Let me focus real quick. I've got nothing. I mean, like, I can't get it to react at all. This is some seriously, I mean, I don't know what low heat would be in this term, but it's definitely not, because if you look at, like, let me take the 6337 like I have here. I'm just going to hold it over it, right? This is going to melt like butter, look. Okay, instantly. But on theirs, I can't get theirs to melt at this temperature no matter what. So, really not sure what's going on with this, but it's not going to give you a good result at all. So I'm gonna, yeah, I know. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, I could hold this on here with mine the whole time, and I can't get anything. I can't get it to react. I mean, I could up the temperature on mine, but to be honest with you, I just don't see the point. So we've got this problem here, and I won't beat it to death. I don't know. I mean, it's you know, the problem is, and I'll be honest with you, I saw Banggood. Okay, so here's the deal. So I saw Banggood, right? For example, they're a prime example. I saw them selling this solder, and I swear it looks like this. All right, now this is some of the new solder that we have. So we have two different versions of the solder, but this is awesome solder also. And same color spool, same everything, but it's totally different. I could not get that solder to work. And I get them all the time to test different brands out and stuff. It sucked. And so when you get something like this, where you're looking at this, and here I'll try to get this as close. Look at that. I mean, you can't function with this. All right, this is not going to give you a good outcome at all. And the problem is and if you look at the top here, I think now I'll actually put it under the microscope here, or I'll put it on the table. Hold on, let me just go to the table here and do it this way and zoom out. My guess is that by doing this, I think that if I keep shaking this, right, like, so I'm just going to wiggle this around, I can literally, I mean, I can tell that it's going to separate because the wire is not even on the pad, right? So that's how much gap I have. I don't know if you can see that, but that's how much gap I have where there's just solder. There's no wire at all. So that's quite a bit right here. All right, and then on the bottom, I've got this big looking bubble right here. So this can't function, guys. It's just not possible. So here's the deal. I do get these things from people quite a bit, and they're like, hey, look, the equipment's bad. And I'm like, hey, look, it's not, okay? It really isn't. And no offense to anybody, but you can't keep blaming. You cannot hold the manufacturer responsible and when the work being done is really, really subpar, okay? So now I don't know if I can salvage this one. I know the other one. I know this one's toast. I mean, when it gets to that color black, it's done. There's nothing I can do with that. But I also cannot turn it into HGLRC and tell them that should be a warranty thing. But I can reduce. God darn, these things are going to be flying all over the place. Hold on. I want to get jabbed in the face here in 1 second. So let me just kind of... Shit's flying all over the place. I can hear it hit the ceiling every time I cut this stuff. Hi. All right, hold on a second. Let me open this up here. Let's see if I can get this back on. I just had to restart my chat, so I'm sorry if I missed a couple sentences here. It's because I had to restart this. But all right, so I'm going to go ahead and just keep cutting this stuff off. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's hitting everything around me. Just don't want to get hit in the eye with this thing. Shit, it's flying. This shit's all over the place. All right, so let's get the rest of this off. Okay, so far so good. Well, yeah, I mean, like I've, you know, and look, I've toasted enough of mine too, like, you know, especially when you wreck, right, and you have compression then, and all of a sudden you pound in, and everything just hammers, right? So even if you're not touching, even if you've got enough clearance prior to your flight, let's say you've got your board separated by, oh my God, so much crap on here. Let's say you've got your board separated by 3 to 5 millimeters. You know, when you hit, your board's going to compress down. You're using these soft mounts or these soft rubber inserts like this. So there's going to be a little bit of compression. And if you just left enough room for it to ground out, it's dead, right? So as it stands now, I don't know if this board is salvageable because I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if it even starts up at this point. I'm going to put an XT60 on here. I mean, this doesn't work. I mean, we've got the wiring is exposed on this side, and even though it's clear heat shrink, I've got it open right here. Okay, so I've got it open here, and on the positive I don't. But let's just take this as an example, and I mean, this one's better than that. And I would say that here's a clue, guys. Something else that I do want to point out is, when I see something like this, granted we can have an argument all day long about how this happens. I had this conversation with somebody else a couple of weeks ago. When you see grass stuck like this in this manner, it usually means that it was wet. Something was wet at some point, okay? This looks like it was wet. I'm going to cut this off, and I'm going to use it to try to check this board out, okay? But if you want to make something like this, let me kind of show you how we're going to do that. I'm going to make one for you just so you can see the best way to do this, at least the way I think. Let me grab a couple of these real quick. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm going to bring 2 different kinds over and we're going to see. All right, so look. So you can get one that's pre-made, like this, right? This is a smaller gauge, or you can make one yourself, okay? Have I ever used Dean's for a drone? I don't know what you mean by Dean's, no. What is, I guess I don't understand what that is. Explain to me, please, and I'll let you know if maybe I'm just not understanding it. All right, let's put this in. There we go. We're charging here, right? All right. And while you're going to answer that, I'm going to continue on here. So if you want to make your own, right? Let me just grab some cable here. Something simple, nothing too crazy. Okay, and I think this will do. Let's take this wire, for example. Okay, so let's just get started with how this should look. Now, this is what we're working with here, all right? And we want to do better than this. This is kind of wappy-jawed and sloppy. I mean, the soldering's on the outside. The wire's not really fitted in there properly. So let's, like a T-plug for a battery. Yes, I have them actually. I don't use them. I have them. I haven't used them. I would most likely, my intention is to use it on a, yeah, I'm sorry. I know what you mean now. I forgot the term is Dean's, and you're right on that, but let me show you. Yes. Let me see if this is what you're talking about. So it is a heavy duty plug. Where is mine? I know I have some here. Looks kind of, I think it looks kind of like this, if that's what you're referring to. Like this one here, I assume, is the plug that you're talking about. I think something to this effect, maybe. If that's the one you're talking about, only on my heavy duty batteries. I mean, real heavy duty. If that's the one you're talking about. If that's not it, then I'll have to go check and see what else I may be missing it. But that would be like on a larger, a 5,000 milliamp or something. I think I have on mine. I have those plugs. I want to say that Thunder Power RC is the one that pushed that plug, but I can't remember. Yeah, I think Thunder Power RC is the one that, and it was for RC cars too. I think it was real popular on RC cars. Okay, so getting back to this real quick. So if you want to do this, right, let's just go ahead and make something real quickly. I'll make it short, nothing too crazy, right? Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure, that's right, that's exactly right. I remember exactly what you're talking about now. I don't see them much, but I do use them on my heavy duty ones. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is make sure that the gauge you're using fits in this fits in the slot properly here. So twist it up, and here's your positive. Your flat side's going to be a positive, and just kind of pop it down in there and make sure you can fit it all in there properly, right? And it does. It fits good right now. Okay. So here's what you want to do. You want to take your, oh, let's see, where's my helping hands? This whole table's a mess right now, but let me just grab this. Okay. Take your helping hands. All right. And we're going to take our flux paste, which is right here. Yeah, that's where I got it from, was cars. I remember that was all I used when I did cars. Long, I mean, godly, when I was a kid, more than anything, I guess, or a long time ago. So put your flux paste on here, and then go ahead and pre-tin your wire, okay? And just have patience with it. You got to make sure you tin it properly, guys, okay? So, and if it does drip off, just hold it up over something so that you know you're not going to damage anything underneath, but don't worry about it. Just make sure you tin the wire properly, all right? And then when you get to where it's tinned properly, like this, right? This is, ooh, that was close. This is kind of decent for me to at least be able to work with, okay? So at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang tight here, and I'm going to take this. Now, quickest way for me to do this is I'm just going to hold it here and put a rubber band around it. All right, I don't do anything fancy here. This is going to be a rubber band. This is my little piece to grip this, okay? So let me just put this around here. It's going to hold that perfect for me, just like that, okay? I'm going to take my flux pen. I'm going to just kind of put some flux all around this thing. All right, there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my soldering iron, and I am going to up the temperature because I like to have this a little hotter. Okay, I'll take it to 360, I guess. Okay, now I'm going to take my solder, and I'm just going to kind of hold it right here, wait for this to melt a little bit, and just kind of get it in that area so I can get some solder inside here, okay? Just enough, nothing crazy, just enough so that when I do get this in, it's going to hold, all right? Now here's the red piece, here's the red wire. I usually have this turned the other way, so it's kind of wobbly-jawed, but just make sure to keep your iron here, and then bring these together. Hopefully I have enough heat here. I'm trying not to use too much heat. Let's see. Okay, and then once it gets somewhat melted here, I may have to turn the heat up on my iron, I think. Hold on, let me just clean this off. Yeah, I'm going to turn this up just a little bit. Bear with me a second. Okay, there we go. Okay. And while you're holding the iron onto the side here, just feed the cable in, right? Just like this, okay? This way the cable makes itself all the way inside, right? I'm trying to tilt this so you can see it a little bit. But you'll see here, as soon as I'm done here, you're going to see it. Okay, now look. So I've got my cable inside there, right? And so I can put my heat shrink on there now. But what I want to do next, let me put this back down. Let me get this to open this up without having to take the, there we go. Okay. And I'll get the ground here in just a second. Okay. Let me get the ground started, but I'm going to finish this. I want to finish this gap right here real quick. Okay. Now let me do this. Okay, that'll hold. Perfect. Let's go ahead and turn it around. Let's get our ground ready. So we're going to tin our ground real quick. Again, we'll put it in flux paste right here. Nothing big, guys. It's just something, you know, something simple, but it'll help hold that solder in really good. I needed to crank the heat up on my iron anyway, so that's on me for the delay there. Now let me go ahead and just tin this up real quick. All right, wires tin. I'll go ahead and drop some tin this section right here. All right, perfect. Now, take your ground, hold your iron on the metal right there on the plug, and what's going to happen is it's just going to melt everything, and slowly this wire will sink right in, just like that. Okay? And once you let go, it's going to cool off and it's done. So now what we've got, right, is we've got two pieces in here. They're both in perfect, looks good, and then we'll take our heat shrink. Let me see if I've got a red one here available handy. Of course I probably don't, but I'll try these. All right, so we're going to take about 20 millimeters. If you measure this out, maybe a little bit more. Let me see. No, 20 millimeters would be good. So just take about 20 millimeters of each one, cut one, and then use it to measure the next one, I guess. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but try your best to make it look good, I guess. All right, slide it over. It should fit over the metal. This is going to be kind of big, so I don't have a red one that's that size that's readily available. And then let me go ahead and heat this up. All right. And this is what it should look like. I mean, this is a good example of a pretty solid connection. There's no exposed wire. There's no exposed XT60 terminals right there or anything. Everything looks good, okay? So now, even though I don't know if this board's going to be good, we're still going to try to solder this onto there. So get all your wires the same length. There you go. Get this rubber band off of here. Oh yeah. I mean, like, I do that sometimes, but boy, sometimes I mess it up. So I always have my hot air gun just in case. And it's my go-to, I guess. All right, so let's do this. Tin these up. Let's go ahead and add our flux paste here. All right. Now the only concern I have is that the solder that was on this board, I'm going to try to get through it by adding my solder on top of it and hopefully melting it off. But the main thing is right now is I want to just get these tinned up really good so I don't have to worry about it too much. All right, so there's the ground. All right, we'll call that for the positive and we're good. Let that cool a second while we try to look at this board. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting because there is so much stuff on here. I'm just gonna try my best to put some of mine on there and hopefully melt some of this off, but there's a chance that it may not budge. If it doesn't budge, I'm going to have a little bit of a hard time here. Yeah, let's try the positive real quick. Yeah, nothing's moving, so. All right, I'm going to see if it'll take. Hopefully it will, and then we can press this out. It's going to be close. Hey, what's up, what's up? What board? This is a 60, I believe this is a 60 amp or 65 amp ESC. I have two of them sitting here. One's a 60 and I think one's a 65. I'm not getting this to budge right now, so I'm going to really hit the heat now. So bear with me a second here. I'm going to take this pretty hot. I don't like doing this, but in this case, I really don't have a choice at this point. So let's just see if I can get this cleaned up. This is going to be a real problem if I can't. So I'm going to try to take this off real quick and see if I can clean up that pad now. This should come off pretty easy at this point. There we go. All right, now let's see if we can clean off this pad just a little bit. There's so much solder on this board. All right, I think at this point I should be able to get, I think it's going to react fine now. So let me go ahead and try this again. Let me clean this up here. Do it a little bit more here. Let's see if I can get this to now. No, I'm not happy with it, but we're going to make it work. Watch. By the time we're done, we're going to make this work. But I also have to make sure that I don't... The board's not hot right now, so I'm okay. I'm just going to press this down as hard as I can here. Just a minute and see if I can get this to go through the solder that he had on here. Now, it looks like it's going to go... Let me see. It's getting there. All right, assuming that did get all the way around, so I'm going to leave that one alone now. Now let me tin this positive here real quick. Tin this side of it. Let's see if we can repair this. This is where it's going to be a problem. And I'm going to get this thing to kind of step on it for a second there so I can just hold any more board movement. That's not going to happen. Okay, maybe. Yeah, but this is too hot. I mean, I could smell it. I can't tell you that the board's dead. I can tell you that even if it's dead, or if I think it's dead, I still have to go through the testing of it. I mean, I treat every RMA like I was telling my buddy about this actually yesterday. I was like, I treat every RMA that I get like like it's a setup, right? I treat it like somebody's playing Secret Shopper. And they're like, hey, we're going to send this to you and make it look all crappy, and we want to see if you're really going to find out if there's a problem or not. So to me, if I'm directed to find out if there's a problem, I have to do my job to say, okay, let me clean the board off, let me test it, and then we can see. So that's why I do it. Not to mention the fact that every time I do something like this, it allows me to kind of point out a few things here and there. Like right now, I went through and cut all this solder off with wire cutters. Now I'm going to go back through and put the proper solder on, and hopefully it'll take. And we may have a good board afterwards. Now the one that's burned, I can't do anything about, but this one, I can. You know, I don't know if this is going to work or not yet. We'll see. But I've had boards where they look like they're dead. I just did one today, a Racer Star. Looked like it wasn't going to work, and it finally did. Just got to kind of, you got to kind of see if you can salvage any part of it. So this is on pretty solid. I'm not going to worry about down here right now. So the next question is going to be, let's see what happens when we plug in the power to this, right? So I'm going to do a continuity test first, just to see where we're at. Okay, now I've lowered the temp on my soldering iron way back down again, so we're good there. Let's just make sure that this looks exactly. Okay, so we're good there. So I can fire this up real quick and see if we get any activity out of it first. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to use my smoke stopper. Let me extend this real quickly, and I'll use the smoke stopper. Get rid of all these little pieces now, the rulers and everything. I can't grab anything. Got flux paste on my hand, so I can't get a grip on anything. All right. So next thing to do is we will go ahead and power this up, and let's see what happens. All right, just to make sure that I'll get an amp reading. I didn't even look at this side to see if you got solder on anything. I'll get an amp reading here in just a second. And if the amp reading is too high, and it's not, this is actually good. I think we may actually be able to salvage this board. So right now the amp reading is only 0.06 amps. So this board isn't showing right now that it has any more issues. So let's take the next step with it. Let's get a flight controller. Okay. Let me find one real quick. I'm going to do the F4 flame. I think the flame will work on this. And then what we can do is we can try a motor. And if this works, then you'll know that we just saved an ESC. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we're going to grab, I'll just grab a flame here, a brand new one. You know what, this won't work, sorry, my bad. I don't have the, I'll have to grab a different board. Gosh darn it. Let me put that back. I'll be right back. Let me grab another board real quick. Forgot I need one with my plugs on it here. Okay, let's put this one back. And we could try the F7. I'll try the F7. We'll see how this works. I'm not really sure this is going to be a good idea because we had an issue with these boards, but I'm going to try a different cable. So let me go ahead and pull the proper cable, and then we'll put this F7 on here and see if we can get any reaction. Okay. Well, let's do this and see what we get. Okay. First things first, let's make sure that our F7 works in the computer. So here it goes. Let's just make sure we get our USB here. All right, good. So we have that. Okay. Still, we're good on reading there. So now let's go and do a beta flight real quickly. And I'll show you guys that screen here in just a second. Let's do beta flight and make sure that we can get a good reading on this and that our voltage is passing through and everything else. Ready? So here goes. There you go. Let's do this. There. Okay. So we'll connect now. We don't need this. Okay. Okay, so the flight controller is not doing good right here. So let me show you what's happening. So we're getting the voltage, but what we're not getting is we're not getting it out. So let's see if we have any voltage at all on here. So first things first, let's just get a voltage reading from the board. Oops, sorry, my bad. And let me crank up the volts just a little bit. So we should have about 12.1 roughly. Yeah, 12.16. Okay, now let's see. Can't read any of this, so let me see what we got. Let's see what we've got coming out. Make sure we've got something coming out here. So I'm going to get onto the voltage here. So that's where we have a problem. We're not getting anything out now. Okay, so I have no power coming out, but I can test the ground. So yeah, maybe that the board or maybe the cable. What just happened there? So let me just see something. All right, we do have here, our ground is good. So we don't have, is a good voltage, I guess. Let me see. That's fine. We can work around it for the time being. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try something here, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try a continuity test and see if we can fix this and have a workaround. So the workaround is going to be this. If I can get all my wires out of the way. One thing I want to know ahead of time is, and this is just something to experiment with, where are we getting our what did they do here? All right, 1 second. We're gonna see if we can fix this. I mean, it may be a rigged fix, but hey, I'm gonna see either case. If I can get it to work. Okay. And now I'm curious. Now I gotta play with this a little bit and see what I get. So if I am to check this like this. This is not something I would tell anybody to do, but I just have to know for myself. So let's see. Let's take Okay, so I've got it on now. What I did was I tried to jump it through, and I don't have any higher amp reading right now. So, I mean, it's an experiment. I'm just going to see if this will work. Okay, so let me make sure I got my pins right. This will be interesting. I don't know. There we go. So now we have what looks to be like a working flight controller. Yeah, I bridged it back to because, so here is now a bridge, and from there now I'm getting my flight controller to finally come on, right? So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this into beta flight, and we're going to see if we get a reading here that would make sense. So here goes. Ready? And there we go. Now let's connect. Now we have our voltage at the top. Everything's functioning there, okay? So far, so good. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to disconnect this, and I'm going to open BL Heli, and I want to see if I can get a reading on it. And I do, which means I can do an ESC flash. And everything looks like it's actually going to be functioning great. Now I have to open my chat here because I can't see if you guys are chatting. I've got it minimized in the background, sorry. Put that here. But yeah, so I bridged it, which brought power back. And at this point, I've got the ESC powered up. I've got my flight controller powered up, and I've got everything functioning properly. So on this one, I have a feeling this is going to work just fine when it's done. But we're going to see. We'll let it run real quick, and then we'll do some motor tests. But so far, the ESC is reading just fine. Good enough to where we can do an update on firmware and where we're getting the proper reading of voltage. So far, so good. And what I'll do next is I'll throw a motor on here, run a test across all of it, and if that works good, then I'll be satisfied that we've got a good board, and we just need to trace back where the circuit is cut, and then just fix that. Right now, we can at least get tests at the board. Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, you know, sometimes you can bypass quite a bit of things, you know. I mean, you don't have to have everything done a certain way, especially if like you're using a regulator or you have a voltage step down or whatever, but you don't need it, then you could bypass it if it's damaged or overheating. There's quite a few things you can do so that you don't end up with a dead board. Okay, so this looks good so far. So I'm going to now, let's see, let's go back to my ESC setup. I'm going to remove throttle calibration on all this, and I'm going to write everything. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick test and make sure the motors work. And the test will only take a few seconds here, or I mean a few minutes actually. So let me disconnect, and then I'll power it off. Let me grab a motor. I'll take something simple like this. What is this? A DYS? Okay. Well, what do you mean? Like the program won't work, or it won't work on your? Let me power this off, or it won't work on your board. If the program, I don't know if what you mean is that it's not starting up or what. So let me just go ahead and let me tin this real quickly, and we're going to test this out and see if we've just salvaged one board. All right, so let's tin this up. My helping hands. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll go this route. Tin this real quickly. These look like they're already tinned, but I just want to make sure. So 1, 2, and 3. All right, that's good enough. I'll start with, I mean, any random pads will be fine. We just want to kind of slap these on here real quick, and then we're going to be removing them just as quickly when we're done. So 1, 2, and 3. So the question will be, can we hear tone when we turn it on? Because we don't know yet if it's damaged, so let's see. I don't know. I mean, I think the BL Heli is pretty easy to run on most machines, not really worried about the age. Here goes, let's see. All right. So we have tone in the first one. So let's go ahead and, you won't see me in beta flight doing this. I'm not going to switch back and forth, but I'm going to just start the motors. Okay, that works. So that's nice. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. If I can ever find where I put my stuff. Oh, here we go. All right. Now, just because the ESC is on, I mean the flight controller's on, the ESC is powered off. So please know that I did power it off. So there's one. Let's do this one here. Okay, test this again. There's our tone. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, we got another good one. Power that off. Oh, that's what I have on my testing, on my where the hell is it? It's over here. Look, when I test motors, that's what I do. So if you look at this here, I have my setup here with my dial. And so then it goes in here, and these are my motor wires. So I can clip these on, right? And I don't have to sit there and keep soldering. So yeah, alligator clips is the way to go. I mean, for sure. But since this is a customer's board and not mine, this will just be my quick way to do this one. And I'll turn this board around actually. So let me just take this off. Let's go like this. Oh, who cares? I'll leave it like that. Hold on. I like to solder a specific way here, so let me just have that held down and I'll finish this side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these on. So we've tested 2 ESC so far, and that's worked out well. So I think that was 3 and 4, so now we're gonna do 1 and 2. I'm still battling some of the solder that was on this board, so bear with me. It just needed to hold for a second, right? So, all right, I think that'll be good for now. All right, let's try this again. Make sure everything's clear. It is. Hold on 1 second. Oh, my plug fell out. I was wondering why it's not working. Bear with me. Here it goes. Okay, we got tone again. Let's go ahead and, all right, so that's a third. And now we'll do the last one, and I think we're gonna be good. I think that this ESC is actually gonna be working pretty darn good, and we would have saved this guy from having to buy another one. And there you go. And that is why I do what I do and take my time on these things, because you never know if you can save it. Something just as simple as just bridging maybe a broken connection there. All right, so let's get this one done. Oops. Okay. All right, now let me get this plug back in. Okay, let's connect. Let's see if we get tone for the last one. And we do. And we're going to go ahead and we'll just do our motor real quick. Let me turn this on. And there we go. Okay, so as it stands right now, guys, I mean, we have ourselves a working ESC. So we definitely had a damaged connection coming from the voltage out. So let me here we go. I'll take off these motor wires real quick, right? Okay, we cleaned up the soldering. Bridge that right there. We know the cable works for the flight controller, so that tested out great. So I can put that back now. And we salvaged the ESC. Okay, so just an idea there. You know, I mean, it's not. Hey, good morning, good morning. It's not I'm not gonna tell you like this is. You know, I mean, you'd like to not have to deal with this to begin with, but you know, if you do have an issue like this, at least you can tell that there are some ways to fix these that, you know, you can save yourself from having to buy a new board. Now, the guy who owns this is going to have to start soldering properly and using the right solder, but we've at least cleaned up the mess enough to where we just saved him on a 60 amp ESC, and he's not going to have to, you know, buy another one, and he's going to be able to, it's already been flashed and everything. So there you go. It's a pretty neat little fix. Right? It's live. So, I mean, I'm doing this live, so if it didn't work, it would really be crappy. But, you know, it was worth a shot. And unfortunately, his other board is toast, so there's nothing I can do with this one because it's completely burned, as you can see. I mean, this is not a very good condition. But that's it. Okay? So that's another one done. And let's see, it is now 5 o'clock in the morning, so I'm obviously not going to go to sleep today. So I'm going to continue on to the next one, but I'll end this video, and you guys will see me back here shortly doing another RMA here or something, okay? And there you go, bud. I hope the guy this belongs to, I hope he's happy. Should be good. All right, if you guys have any questions, please head on to my website and just send me on my contact page there. Hit me up if you need anything, and then please follow us on our, oh my God, I always get this wrong. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube, I think is what it is, or something like that. Yeah. Okay, other than that, it's 5 a.m. I'm tired. But I ain't going to go to sleep, so I got a lot more work to do. So I'll see you guys in just a few minutes when I do the next live one. All right, guys. Peace. See ya.